So much breaking news. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is leaving NBC. Honda is serious about joining NASCAR. And a short track superstar finally gets his shot. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. You might want to sit down for this episode because we've got some major stories to discuss. Junior Motorsports this morning announced that Bubba Pollard will make his NASCAR Xfinity Series debut later this spring at Richmond Raceway. Take a good look at the paint scheme. Y'all know I love oversized logos. That Rheem decal on the hood is out of control. 37-year-old Bubba Pollard is a late model superstar. He's won dozens of major short track racing events throughout his career. He'll also make an ARCA start soon. This is a fantastic opportunity for a deserving veteran race car driver. Dale Jr. tweeted, obviously he's very excited about this. It is really cool that Dale Earnhardt Jr. is able to use his platform to get guys like Bubba Pollard these kinds of opportunities. Josh Berry a couple years ago, now Pollard, both very deserving. These aren't rich kids with parents or grandparents signing a big check. No, Barry, Bubba are seasoned, veteran, accomplished race car drivers who just needed a shot. They've spent years earning the respect of their fellow competitors, the fans, the entire racing industry. They just needed help building the funding, putting together this opportunity. They just needed someone to give them a chance. And Dale Jr., for several of these guys, has been that guy. Everyone loves to talk about, how Dale Jr. and Junior Motorsports need to be in the big show. Not if it comes at the expense of their Xfinity Series program. So much driving talent, engineering talent, business talent in this industry have come through Junior Motorsports at some point or another. JRM fills an extremely important role in the NASCAR ecosystem right now. So sure, it would be awesome to see Junior Motorsports land a charter or two and race on Sundays, but not if it comes at the expense of their Xfinity Series program. This is a very important operation they're running. Congratulations to Bubba Pollard. I will be cheering for him at Richmond Raceway later this spring. While we're on the topic of Dale Earnhardt Jr., The Athletic broke a major story this morning. Dale Earnhardt Jr. will not return to NBC Sports this year. Instead, he will join both Amazon Prime and Warner Brothers Discovery starting in 2025. A huge development. There's still a lot that we don't know. We do know that beginning in 2025, Amazon Prime will begin broadcasting all practice and qualifying sessions for the Cup Series after the Daytona 500. Then, in the late spring, early summer, Amazon Prime will actually broadcast 5 NASCAR Cup Series races. Once Amazon is done with their 5-race stretch, Warner Brothers Discovery, using TNT, a cable channel, and Max, a streaming service, will broadcast the next 5 races, and then True TV and Max will broadcast the remaining practice and qualifying sessions for the second half of the Cup schedule. So it's unclear at this point if Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be a part of those practice and qualifying broadcasts throughout the calendar year, but it's safe to assume at the very least he will be in the booth for Amazon Prime and TNT Max during that 10-race mid-season stretch. This is a huge move by 2 new players in the NASCAR industry, and honestly, it's a big loss for NBC. I called it last week. I said when Dale Earnhardt Jr. went on his podcast and publicly said, hey, I don't have a contract for this year or next, he was using his leverage to attract the best offer possible from one of these many new broadcast partners. It will be extremely interesting to see how 2 different companies build a broadcast around Dale Earnhardt Jr. Maybe they'll kind of work together and use much of the same on-air talent. No matter what, as The Athletic notes, signing Dale Earnhardt Jr. immediately gives both Amazon and Warner Brothers a ton of credibility. It shows that both companies are serious about NASCAR and want to connect with the hardcore fans. But now let's talk about NBC, because losing Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to hurt. NBC had Dale Jr. covering not only NASCAR races, they'd send him to Indy 500s. They had him covering the Olympics, the Kentucky Derby. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is still arguably the most influential individual in the stock car racing world. Losing Dale Earnhardt Jr. will leave a void. That's not to say the rest of the current NBC booth is bad. Rick Allen has grown on me a ton over the years. He still really only has one volume and occasionally stumbles over his words, but overall I think Rick Allen deserves a lot more credit than most fans typically give him. Steve Letarte is fantastic. His ability to explain technical issues with the car is on par with, or even better than Larry McReynolds these days. And Jeff Burton, whether you like him or not, usually offers a very honest assessment of what he sees. You may not agree with him, but I can remember back in 2022, he was critical of Ross Chastain over the summer. That's just one example. So the remaining NBC broadcast booth is still very solid in my opinion, but losing Dale Earnhardt Jr. means you're losing a deep connection with much of the audience. Not only is Dale Earnhardt Jr. obviously a very popular figure, but his enthusiasm in the booth, I think, resonates with most fans watching at home. That nostalgic connection to the sport's history is now gone. So yeah, as much as I still like the remaining NBC broadcast booth, losing Dale Earnhardt Jr. is going to leave a void. Big pickup for Amazon Prime, Max/TNT. I will be very curious to see how they utilize Dale Earnhardt Jr. starting in 2025. What does this mean for Dirty Mo Media? Will Dale Jr. be calling practice and qualifying year-round? All that remains to be seen. I saved perhaps the biggest story for last. Marshall Pruitt is a very reputable motorsports reporter closely connected to the IndyCar garage, and on his podcast this week, the Marshall Pruitt podcast, he discussed the recent Honda to NASCAR rumors and somewhat indirectly seemed to confirm that these are far more than just rumors. I'll put a link to the full Marshall Pruitt podcast down in the description below if you'd like to listen. I encourage you to do so, especially if you're a fan of other motorsports outside of NASCAR, but I am going to play the most important clip from the episode.
There's been at least one, maybe two, but at least one Honda taking a hard look at NASCAR type story that precedes this. So with all that said, I have a list, I wish I could tell you what's on it, of things that I know are in the works, could happen, or are being discussed. I would say for anybody who's followed the Honda thing a little bit, however many years past, and seen it pop up here, keep following. If you're a Honda fan and you like NASCAR, you're probably going to be really happy here in the future.
This is by far the most legitimate Honda to NASCAR report I have ever seen. We've heard NASCAR President Steve Phelps mention Honda in the past few weeks, but Phelps also name-dropped Dodge a few years back, and those discussions dissolved. But Marshall Pruitt, again, a very reputable journalist who is closely connected to the IndyCar garage where Honda currently competes, if he's saying this kind of thing, I'm absolutely going to listen. I think this is far more than just a rumor at this point. It's not necessarily a done deal. I doubt that Honda has signed anything with NASCAR, has committed one way or another just yet. But based on this discussion, I believe Honda is well past the talking stage with NASCAR. This process could be very far along. Brian Murphy, who I consider to be an industry insider on X, made a great point today. He tweeted that the deadline for the NASCAR Cup Series OEM body approval process is September 1st, 2 years prior to the race season for which the race vehicle will be introduced. Honda's current deal with IndyCar runs through 2026, so whether they join NASCAR in 2026 or maybe 2027 remains to be seen. Whether Honda joins NASCAR at all still remains to be seen. But hearing those comments from reporter Marshall Pruitt, in addition to all the other rumblings this offseason, I believe NASCAR is closer to landing a fourth manufacturer now than they have been in a long, long time. I have so many questions that likely can't be answered yet, like how will this affect the charter market? What existing Cup Series teams may join forces with Honda? Again, it's far too early to speculate, but I hope Honda to NASCAR is a real thing. A fourth manufacturer means more money in the sport, more technical support, potentially new teams, new competitive landing places for worthy, talented race car drivers, more competition. I think that is a very good thing. Whether you're explicitly a Honda fan or not, having another manufacturer, I believe, is good for competition and signifies that NASCAR is in a healthier place. I said this years ago, but to me, the number one way we will determine if the next gen car is a success is if NASCAR is able to land a fourth manufacturer. I said that years ago. If NASCAR is able to land Honda sometime in the next couple of years, that is a huge win for the next gen. That suggests that the current business model, the hopefully new charter agreement, the new media deal, that would signify that overall the sport is in a much healthier, more competitive place. That would suggest the next gen car has by and large done its job. Let's not take a victory lap just yet, NASCAR. You gotta wait and see if Honda truly does join the sport. I still feel like any new manufacturer would like to know what kind of engine package is being worked on for the future. But assuming these Honda to NASCAR reports, rumors are legit, that will be a huge win for the next gen car, for NASCAR, and the entire industry. I just hope it doesn't come at the expense of IndyCar. Obviously, I'm more of a NASCAR fan, but I would hate to see IndyCar lose one of its most important partners. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Are you buying these Honda to NASCAR rumors now, or are you still skeptical? I think some skepticism is healthy, but like I said, this is probably the best feeling I've had in years. Now, before I go, Las Vegas Motor Speedway is this weekend. My friend Ryan Stevens from wintherace.info stopped by earlier today. He's a stats machine, an analytical monster. We talked all things Las Vegas. Hendrick teammates Kyle Larson and William Byron appear to be the favorites, but can Toyota or maybe Joey Logano in a Ford break through on Sunday? Let's see what the data suggests. I want to start with Hendrick Motorsports. They may not be the most efficient bet this weekend, but maybe for fantasy players out there, Kyle Larson and William Byron won the two Las Vegas races here last year. In fact, in this race, the Pennzoil 400 a year ago, if I recall, Hendrick Motorsports finished 1, 2, 3. So what are you looking at? What are you seeing? How do you feel about the four Hendrick Motorsports drivers' chances this week?
I mean, I love them. I mean, one thing that we know is they're not the ones with the new body. So,
That's true.
They should, and we'll see, show up fast again. What I'm wondering is, do Elliott and Bowman get some of that speed that we saw Larson and Byron have last year? And Bowman did. I mean, Bowman finished third in that Las Vegas race. I had him top 10 in true performance ranks at both Vegas races. This number is no longer available, but I did take him 30-1 to start the week here to win. I think he's, with Larson being such a heavy favorite, kind of opened up some value on the other guys, even his teammate William Byron. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing to watch is, can this team even out a little bit, or are we just going to have two guys, Larson and Byron, run away again?
Well, Alex Bowman, if I'm not mistaken, this is just off the top of my head, he's riding a near 2-year winless streak going back to Las Vegas, right? 2022, I think, was his last NASCAR Cup Series win. So he's had success here in recent memory. So maybe some good vibes, some good energy going Alex Bowman's way. Will anyone break up the Chevrolet dominance this year? That's what I want to know. Across Trucks Xfinity and Cup, the bow ties have won every single race so far this year. But you mentioned Martin Truex Jr. earlier. What about Toyota? I remember going back to the off-season tests, TRDs, David Wilson sounded very confident. Granted, that was at Phoenix, but he felt like their new Camry could run up front, could work their way through the pack better than anyone else. So this will be the first real, true intermediate track test. I like Christopher Bell this week. He scored a top 5 in both Las Vegas races. Am I crazy? Am I going too deep, too far? Or is there another Toyota that maybe catches your eye?
No, I love Christopher Bell this week as well. I actually, for a show that I was going to do last night, there was a head-to-head. It was Ryan Blaney versus Christopher Bell, which I thought was very interesting because it is two drivers with the new body. And Blaney, obviously won the championship last year, was of the Fords who largely struggled on this track type. He was the best one, probably followed by Keselowski. But Bell, I do practice and qualifying ranks every week that they include the true performance ranks and many other things that I look at, track performance, all that stuff that we've been talking about. But Bell is in the first tier. I have a tier of 7 drivers that I would say are probably my favorites to win, and Bell's included in that. Blaney's actually the first one outside of that. So yeah, I think Bell could get it done. He had the third best true average running position at Vegas and Kansas last year. Christopher Bell did. Behind the guys that we talked about, and Denny Hamlin was up there as well. So yeah, I'd say the biggest challenge would be beating his own teammate in Denny, but Bell's definitely live this weekend.
Click the top link down in the description below to check out the full clip of me and Ryan going over all the important data ahead of Sunday's Pennzoil 400. That's going to do it for this episode, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We talk NASCAR every single day. And as always, a huge thank you to my very generous Patreon supporters. Have a wonderful rest of your day, folks. I will catch you again in the next episode. Take it easy, y'all.